Welcome back to the PokerStrategy.com TSL3. Here we are, game number 3, sitting at 1 apiece as we moved on to the large map Crevasse. Spawning in the top right, we have Manor as always, Empire.Kas as the red Terran, and spawning in the bottom left as a blue Protoss, equally Manor, Adelscott.
You know, I'm not going to say equally Manor. I would say 2/3 as Manor, as I see an HF GL GG versus a GL and then an HF. The HF almost being an afterthought.
I don't know how to respond to that, so we'll just go ahead and tell everyone to jump over to youtube.com/TeamLiquidNet, twitter.com/TeamLiquidNet, and of course, the Team Liquid big event tracker, so you can follow all the action. Go to teamliquid.net and click on the menu bar Events.
I tell you, man, teamliquid.net, definitely my homepage, the best damn site on the internet.
Yeah, my homepage is Google, but Team Liquid's pretty good too. So we see a lot of SC.
Okay, you get me. Mine's Google too, but Team Liquid is where I always go first.
So jumping back into the action, we've got Empire.Kas putting down that 12 barracks here. Not going to go for the very quick command center. Meanwhile, this would be an extremely late gateway if Adelscott does not fast expand. And he's also rallying his Nexus.
Yeah, maybe he wants to mine from that mineral patch, or maybe he wants to make a Nexus. We will see momentarily, but it does look like it's going to be a 15 Nexus. Good choice on this map. Going to be pretty easy to hold whatever Kas sends at him, and Kas is getting his gas. So I feel like we may be seeing a quick Reaper once again. You know, that's obviously going to be quite good for scouting, and he may be able to get it in there quick enough to kill off a few probes. But the economy of Adelscott is going to be undeniably a bit better.
Yeah, and Adelscott has shown that his build is a little bit risky getting these fast Nexuses out, but he follows it up very well, getting a quick Stalker to deal with any sort of harassment. We can see the gateway down now, and actually getting the Assimilator before getting the second pylon. We'll see how that timing works out, and actually, he's dealing with it by stocking Chrono Boost energy, and not just spamming that Chrono Boost away, so he's going to wait to unsupply block himself, then chrono it out. Very nice, well-timed out build here by Adelscott early on.
Yeah, man, these guys, they have gone over these builds with a fine-tooth comb at this point. This is the TSL, this is deep, the round of 8. Every win brings them closer to legendary status, so obviously they have got to have these builds down to the mineral.
Yeah, we see the SCV taking a wrong turn to the bottom right before heading in the correct direction into Adelscott's main base. We did have that Reaper coming out first, no Marine out quite yet. We've got second barracks being dropped down after Empire.Kas dropping that expansion command center in the safe position. So the Reaper going to be able to harass a little bit as this Cybernetics core is still a little bit away.
Well, the Reaper has taken a pit stop at a Zelnaga tower that's pretty far away, so he's going to be getting there a little bit later. If he had gone straight for the main, I feel like he could have killed, you know, maybe 2-3 probes. Maybe even more, who knows, but here he goes, finally getting up there, and that Stalker is being Chrono Boost out oh so quickly, and Adelscott's going to want to not lose any probes here. One probe going down, the probe's coming out to battle that Reaper, and beautiful Micro pulls back that red probe, and this Reaper not doing nearly as much as I think it thought it was going to. 2 probes going down. Will it get the next one? I don't think so, because that Stalker popping out and making him blow up.
So extremely nice defense there by Adelscott, and actually in the meantime sending his Zealot out to chase out this scouting SCV from Empire.Kas. Looks like also going to take a pit stop in the middle of the map, now being controlled by Adelscott. Recalled back into his main base. We see third barracks now completing for Empire.Kas, and going to drop a factory to follow this up. So 2 barracks with no add-ons, and he's got the single Tech Lab add-on on the third barracks, researching that stim pack upgrade in full production at his natural, dropping that mule right at 50 energy, so Empire.Kas on top of his macro.
Yeah, man, I feel like he's sitting there spamming his buttons, saying not enough energy, not enough minerals, over and over to him. At the same time, we have Adelscott making a robotics, which is pretty interesting. I'm glad he's doing it because, you know, in this position, he hasn't really done enough scouting. He has no idea what his opponent's doing, so I think a quick observer is pretty smart. You know, I don't know whether he knows or not. Well, obviously he does. He's Adelscott. He's so smart. He's so handsome. He's so good. You can get that observer and still pretty much go for his style. You know, you can still grab a bunch of upgrades, grab a bunch of gateway units, but it looks like, oh, robotics bay going up. Colossus time.
You know, I really don't mind that on Crevasse, because with these ramps and the way that the map kind of twists upon itself, especially around the 3rd and eventually 4th expansion, there's a lot of choke points, and if you really abuse that that Colossus on those points against someone going Marine Marauder, you know, you can get a lot of splash damage in there. So if this is tailored to the map, I like it.
Yeah, that would be really quite a genius move by him. But, you know, he did go for that 15 Nexus and following up with the quickest 5-gate Colossus that I may have ever seen. I actually really like this. It's super, super tight, and he's definitely going to get over there with Colossus if he wants to pressure off the 1st or 2nd Colossus before Kas has a whole lot. So he may have some pressure mixed in with this, or it may be so that he can easily take his 3rd base well before Kas. But Kas, not to be outdone, will throw down that command center right now.
Yeah, we can see the Observer now moving into the expansion area of Kas, going to pass by a Marine. And I'm watching Adelscott's build here, and it's just so well timed. The robotics finished with just about 75 energy for him to get that first Observer out, and then the robotics bay completed around when the Observer completed, and Adelscott had like something like 212 gas. So the timing on this build is just insane, as the first Colossus completes, now sitting in the main base, and Empire.Kas, no slouch on his macro, down below 100 minerals for the majority of this time, keeping all his units queued up only 1 deep in his production facility. So very nice by both players here in the macro phase of this game.
Yeah, you know, that is absolutely the way you're going to want to do. Now, we do have 2 dropships making their way across the map, but Adelscott with a well-placed Zealot on that Xel'Naga watchtower, and Empire.Kas looking like he is just going to settle for some map control right now with these units.
Yeah, dropping them out by the tower, now moving around. Adelscott needs to be careful as he's hacking down that destructible debris. It does go down. Now moving forward, Adelscott is going to need to use these Colossi very well, as the Zealot's not really equipped to actually... I'm looking now, Empire.Kas does not have concussive shells. Only 50% complete, so he's going to just take out a pylon.
You know, you gotta do what you gotta do. Here we have the Colossus coming up, trying to get some pokes in. They do not have Thermal Lance yet, and with no concussive shells, they're not going to be too scared to chase this army down. Everything from Adelscott chasing Kas, and he will get away losing only a few units. But one really interesting thing to point out here is Kas already starting Vikings, but Adelscott, he only has 3 geysers because that is not a normal natural expansion that he took quickly.
Right.
So he is not going to be able to afford a whole lot of Stalkers to go along with his Colossi.
Yeah, and you know, Kaz's multitasking is just ridiculous. While he's out there harassing, he sets up his natural into a planetary and puts down 2 bunkers and basically gets a free expansion if he doesn't get broken right here, as Adelscott completes the extended Thermal Lance and begins to take down the first bunker and does not finish it off. Going back for more, gonna take, gonna let it, it's actually gonna get salvaged. So very nice there. Kaz getting the 100 minerals back. Harassment continues to go on at the hands of these Colossi as they're drawing back Marauders, dancing forward and backwards. Now the SCV is forced to be pulled, and this is a scary position for Empire.Kas.
It is indeed, but his planetary just about to finish. That's going to help him a lot in holding this. He is taking some pretty significant damage, but Adelscott not really spending all his money right now. Still has 1,300 in the bank, but he's going to go for it, sending in his Zealots, breaking through, and that planetary is going to be the deciding factor, making Adelscott back up a little bit, but it looks like he's still going to push towards the Marauders, and I don't think that this is really a great move by Adelscott here. It's getting pretty scary. That planetary plus some Vikings, I don't know, man. But Kas pulling back a little bit, not using stim too much.
Yeah, Adelscott getting ridiculous value out of these Colossi. One finally goes down, the other one in the red, going to get taken out. No, not going to get taken out, but Adelscott really needs to start bringing in more units. Second Colossus going down. He's floating at about 2k and trying to set up his 3rd base, but hasn't got the micro to do it yet. Bring in more fodder units as the Colossus is the heavy hitter at 12 kills. Now getting focused down, the Colossus going to get taken down, and Adelscott with no upgrades on these gateway units, probably not going to be able to push further, and there it goes, the Nexus being dropped at his 3rd and a pylon being reinforced. We can see the supplies very even here at about 90 for Empire.Kas, 84 for Adelscott.
Adelscott just warping in 5 sentries right now, but yeah, as you said, Chill, I mean, his multitasking is a little bit off. He's still got 1,000 minerals after throwing down a Nexus, a couple gases, a pylon, making more units, so he's really going to have to get on top of that. He is adding a lot of gateways, realizing, I need to get some more production out here or I'm going to be out macroed. 94 supply gets the 110 of Kas. And I got to tell you, the attack, it was really well planned out, really well timed. But if he had had 2,000 minerals more of units there, I feel like he would have broken through that third base.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Or if he had, 800 minerals worth of expansions building while he put that pressure on, then he could fall back to additional bases. And, at this time, Kas is going to be a little bit nervous. He had a high-pressure aggression done to him when he tried to take a quick third base. He doesn't have a lot of scouting out on the map. He's probably not going to feel comfortable to move out until around this time. And this is the time when the 2 additional expansions would have kicked in. But nevertheless, Adelscott playing well, setting up 4 more gateways, which are being turned into warp gates. His upgrades are still 000, and he's facing the double engineering bay of Kas. He doesn't have an armory to get that +2 attack yet, but he's really got to start working on those upgrades pretty soon, or else he's going to be facing a 3-3 army with 0-0.
Yeah, that tells the story, Chill. I mean, even though you're going Colossus, you still have to go upgrades. Maybe not a double forge like Liquid Tyler, but at least a single forge. You have absolutely got to do that, and I feel like he's maybe going to fall behind a little bit. He's really going to, if he does attack here, rely on those force fields hugely, and wow, that is a big Stalker army with him. Doesn't have too many Zealots to take all the damage, but going to be able to take out a lot of those Vikings, and up come the Marauders into that little makeshift choke point. Kas looking really good. 161 supply against 154.
And we've got a little bit of an annoyance drop going on at the top expansion of Adelscott. 2 Marauders only being dropped out of the medevac and start to go to work on the probe. We've got some Zealots and Stalkers being warped in, going to take that out. Adelscott taking a very aggressive position while this command center floats by him to the top left. I like him sitting up there. I'd like to see him take a 4th base, but if he wants to max out and do one big attack, I have no problems at all with that kind of style. And Adelscott pressing forward yet again.
He is indeed, but he's got to stay on top of things. His Twilight Council is done, yet we don't see any upgrades coming out of it. He needs Blink, he needs Charge, especially if he's going to go for just a 1-base max-out style like you were talking about before, because we see this wonderful Ukrainian Kas taking that additional base. His macro is absolutely off the charts. He's keeping his minerals down non-stop. He is up a good amount of supply, 182 to 166, and moving around the map, really utilizing the hugeness of the map with his Marine Marauder medevac army here. And if Adelscott's out of position, it looks like we may go into some sort of base trade scenario here. Really interesting that these 2 are going for this, and I like this move by Adelscott. And what? Is he actually going to turn around against this? That is absolutely the worst decision he could make right now. He's so far away, there's no way. Oh my god, he's definitely going to lose his 3rd base and take forever to get home. I think the only thing he can hope for now is to crush the army of Empire.Kas and then go back and kill him. Otherwise, Kas is going to be way too far ahead.
But Artosis, he does have the majority, these, 4 sentries sitting on the high ground. He can force field that. So not that bad a decision if he was only sacrificing his natural, but the drop is continuing at his high ground expansion, going to take out the Stalker and take out the Nexus there. Adelscott just doing a dance around the map, and Kas is going to get all the way back to his main base. That was a terrible exchange for Adelscott, and I don't know what he can possibly do to recover from that.
This is something I feel like any Terran player in StarCraft 1 learned the lesson 1,000 times. When it looks like it might turn into a base trade scenario, do not go home and try to save your base. He's lost 2 Nexi, he's at 167 supply in the red, cannot even make any more units right now against a fully maxed Kas who's sitting behind a beautiful planetary fortress, and Adelscott has to make something happen right now.
Yeah, I mean, the difference in income is shown to me by the production tab. The production tab for Empire.Kas is cutting into the majority of my field of view in the left side of the screen, whereas Adelscott is making a Nexus and a pylon. So a lot of production here as we push forward yet again for Adelscott, putting down some force fields, trying to cut the majority of the units off, but he misses on a few of them. Vikings getting a lot of good shots on the Colossus. Is there blink on these? No blink on the Stalkers, only charge. Continuing to press forward. Adelscott has to know this is his only timing.
Yeah, this truly is it, Chill. I don't know if he can break through here. Blink just about to finish, but he's lost a lot of Zealots. Those force fields were not the absolute best. He has a lot of them left, though, and he's really going to have to utilize the force fields, really going to have to utilize the charge on Zealots. And is he going to go up that ramp? No, he's going to go back here, but those force fields feel like the Terran-Kas. I'm really keeping the Zealots away, and this is looking worse and worse for Adelscott every second.
Yeah, Adelscott being grounded down, just losing more and more units, a lot of stim damage on the Terran forces, but that's about it. That's all Adelscott got out of that. Supplies showing 200, a fully maxed Terran army, taking on 141, a broke and battered Protoss army as the expansion for Adelscott. Going to complete now and transferring all the probes over, but where is the fourth base going to be if Adelscott even has the opportunity to put it up? Now that Empire.Kas is maxed, he can push out and really start controlling the space.
And this battle is not going to go well. We have 2-2 Marines and Marauders against 0-0-0 Protoss units. And I mean, after he loses this battle, man, he's going to have nothing left. His supply is plummeting. It is sub 100. Cass over twice the supply of Adelscott right now. Just keeps on throwing up force fields that really aren't helping all that much. And I mean, he has nothing left, man. I don't think he can rally from here.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Going ahead and looking at the income tab, similar number of harvesters, but almost double the income for Kaz as he's stomping through with, as you mentioned, the 2-2 upgrades, taking on the 0-0-0 Protoss army, tagging the Immortal, and going to pull that down is the army of Kaz. As he's charging forward towards this third base of Adelscott, and this is going to be Adelscott's final stand.
Well, he does have 13 sentries, so who knows? Wait, I do. GG, that is it, and Cass goes up 2-1 against Adelscott. Really good play by Cass there, but I have to say, I'm disappointed in Adelscott turning around during a possible base trade scenario.
I agree, and I think that's something everyone learns, and everyone makes that mistake despite having learned the lesson time and time again. You really feel like, okay, well, he has the better army composition. I need to go back and save it. But I've seen magic happen in base race scenarios, even when people are floating away. There was a match in the IPL where all Protoss had to do was kill like one Zerg extractor, and instead he came home and tried to save his Nexus and got beaten. I believe it was Vibe who did that. But, you know, just coming back, even if you kill that army, you've already lost your production. You've already lost so much tempo going home to clean that up. You lose your income. By the time you go back and come back to the Terran main to do your attack, he's already got a full army ready to deal with you, and he's dealt all that economic damage. So I can't justify that action by Adelscott in that match.
Yeah, and to even further underline it, bold it, italicize it, put it on a banner, write it with a plane with smog or smoke or whatever. As you said during that, he had sentries on the top of his ramp, so he could have cut off that army from actually base trading him very well. Yeah, there's medevacs in there, but it would have been a sloppy, high APM, risky situation for Cassidy, whereas he was literally going up the ramp into the production facilities of Terran, and when you do that as Protoss, Terran's done, man. They may as well just lift off. Marines and Marauders popping out one at a time against a Protoss death ball in your main base. I feel like that was Adelscott's game to lose at that point.
Yeah, I've got to agree. And when you're running the Terran around, going for that final battle, and you have the advantage of the Colossi just dealing splash damage time and time again, you're forcing the Terran to stim and really wearing them out. You can kind of pull them around the map, choose on your terms when to fight the final battle if it comes down to that. So really a bit of a misstep there for Adelscott. Hopefully he pulls it together in Game 4 on what could be the final map. We're going to take it to Tal'Darim Altar.
Tal'Darim, a wonderful map, a huge map in the center. I think it's probably the most wide open map we've ever had in StarCraft 2. And that's going to favor the gateway heavy play. If Adelscott goes for another Colossus-based play, I am going to be so surprised and a little bit disappointed because I feel like this is going to fit his style just brilliantly. Whereas Empire.Kas, who seems to really favor Marine Marauder, might have a little bit harder time here. He's going to want smaller choke points to be able to kite the Zealots a little bit better in.
Right, and an easy expansion available for Adelscott. So I feel like Empire.Kas has been kind of the solid, stoic Terran player in this match, and Adelscott is the person swinging between glory and mistakes. So let's see which Adelscott comes to play in perhaps his final match in the TSL, game number 4, right after this.